today's lesson, we're going to look at two clips from two different jams, see what they have in common with each other, and also what kind of color Trey adds to set his playing apart. Hey, Chris here. We're going to get right into it. So over the past week or so, I was sent two requests to transcribe a couple clips from two different songs. One of them was Down with Disease. That was requested by Andrew on Patreon. Thanks so much, man, for sending that over. It's a really awesome, really short and sweet clip. I'm going to have some things to share with that. And then the other one was emailed to me by Serg, and that one's from Gotta Jibboo, and this one will have some really colorful stuff going on. And though these two songs and the clips that come from them don't necessarily sound the same, they do share a similar vibe in terms of the mode they're coming from, which is mixolydian. So I'm going to share each clip at full tempo, do a little breakdown, and make sure you stick around after that because I'm also going to do kind of a mixolydian boot camp of sorts for you to work on to get yourself flowing in jams that are of a similar kind of vibe. There's also a free worksheet to go with this lesson where I tabbed out the clips that I'm going to share, as well as the mixolydian exercises that we'll get into later. There's also a free jam track included that's kind of Down with Disease inspired, so if you want to put some of these things to practice and to work, you can grab that as well. To get things started, here's the Down with Disease clip at full tempo, then I'll give you a little breakdown and some things to work on with it. Now that we've heard the clip at full tempo, let me break it down and do it really slowly for you. We're going to start on beat 3, on the second fret of the D string. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1. For the most part, this is just A major pentatonic based over here in this kind of second fret position. After we hit this first note on the second fret of the D string, we've got this full bend from the 4th fret of G, and then we pull it back down by the beginning of the next measure. We're going to hold that for a couple beats, and then Trey throws in this almost kind of like Allman Brothers style thing where, you know, they would do this pull off from the 4th to the 3rd, and then he goes to the 2nd like that. Then we have 2 pull-offs from 4 to 2. So now we've got moving on from there, 4th fret of the D string is going to have this anchor slide move up like that. 2nd fret of G, pull off from 4 of D to 2nd fret of D, and then that same kind of anchor slide back up, back to 2nd fret of D. Then we end it with 4th fret, 2nd fret of A, open A, and then it sounds like Trey hits like an A power chord right there. Here's that whole thing put together slowly again. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1. So notice how much mileage you can get just from kind of sliding in and out of the tones in the pentatonic scale. So, you know, there's all kinds of different ways you could do that. Trey's doing this kind of classic anchor slide move. Shout out to Amar Guitar. I miss your videos, man. I loved your explanation of that move, and I hope you do more videos in the future, man. At any rate, you can do that kind of move, you know, the anchor slide up and down. You can just slide into a note. You can slide away from the note. So I would say when you get into this pentatonic zone or any pentatonic zone, and we're going to get more into that later, you'll play around with, you know, kind of breaking it apart and putting it back together. So maybe you go... You know, we want to be careful not to put too much of that into our playing probably, but just to get to know that stuff, it is fun to slide. You know, you could do it any number of ways. I'm just going chromatically up into different scale tones. That kind of reminds me of that thing Trey will do with the whammy pedal where he has it set to either a full step or a half step and kind of slides into the note or away from it. and we can get that same thing going here. So at any rate, that clip is awesome, but if you really break it down, it's really these beautiful, simple things that Trey's doing just at a blazing fast speed just because he's so proficient with it. And again, more on that later. We're going to get an exercise to help us with that as well. But that's really it. It's just really mostly pentatonic, a little kind of Allman Brothers kind of vibe there with the pull off from 4 to 3. And some anchor slide kind of stuff that's just classic Trey. So really fun clip. I really appreciate it, Andrew. Now let's move on to Gotta Jibboo. This is such an awesome clip. Let's break it down. So where I have it coming in is over here on the 9th fret of the D string. And interestingly, this is kind of the same vibe in terms of it being like a pentatonic position with the pinky finger on the root. Again, more on that later with the exercise I'm going to share. But it's that same kind of thing we were doing for A major pentatonic. It's just that it's up here. And now our jam is going to be E mixolydian instead of A mixolydian. Starting on the 9th fret of D, we go like this. That right there is really cool. And takes some of this stuff with a grain of salt. I can't see what Trey is doing here, so this is just my interpretation of the position. It could be different. For all I know, I have no idea. This is my best guess at it. But when you look at that lick that I just did, you could really view that as part of a B7 arpeggio, which is so interesting that that's fitting into this E mixolydian vibe, because it doesn't seem like it would fit, but it sounds so cool. So here's that beginning section again. Now this pre-bend, kind of like the Allman Brothers lick I was talking about down here, we're going to go. That's such a great sound. You start on the 4th, bending down to the 3rd. We do the 2nd to the root again. And then Trey slides up into this higher position of either, you could think of it as E mixolydian or mostly pentatonic is how I view it. But let me go over that from the bend again. And the other thing that strikes me about this section here is that classic percussive Trey thing where there's a lot of muting going on. You know, that kind of thing right there. Now, as we get up into this 12th fret area of the B string, he follows this up with this lick that goes like this. Now, this note right here sounds really muted, and that's my best guess as to what was going on there when he played it. It's really hard to hear that. You could just skip that note and mute it. I just included what I thought I heard him going for there. So again, from the B string on the 12th fret, go to 14, to 12 again, and then... That's such a great little lick that I know I never would think to do that. Like that. Moving on from there, we slide back down to the original position we were in. And he does this really cool thing where he hits the note F natural, which is another one of these things that you wouldn't necessarily expect in this scenario for an E mixolydian jam, and yet it makes it so colorful and just extra awesome. I don't know, just having that F in there is really, really interesting. So let me go from here again. Now from there, we're going to go 9 of B to 11 of G. Then this really cool phrase that he does starts on a C natural. Again, a note you wouldn't maybe expect in this vibe with E mixolydian. And then he goes like that. So 10 of D, 9 of G, 11 of G, 10 of G. Just really, really crazy creative stuff there that he's doing. Like that. And you could even make a position change there. I usually do it after though, so. Then there's that lick starting on the 10th fret of B. And then a slide up from 10 of G to 11 to 10 of E. Before moving on, let me recap that section again from 12th fret of B. And then to kind of close it out, what we do is a pull off from 12 to 10. Now that is just the most awesome way to close out that phrase. Again, from 12 of E, we do a pull off, then go to 10 of B, we slide down like that. And there's that F natural in there again. Go 11 of G to 9 of B, all the way to 9 of D, and then it slides down, it sounds like, from the 5th of E to the major 3rd, which is G sharp. Let me play that whole thing in sequence really slowly, starting on 9 of D. So that's why Trey is just one of a kind. I can't think of any other guitarist that would do a thing like that, throwing in those F naturals and the C natural that's thrown in there. It's just so colorful and kind of outside the box. I love that. And it really goes to show that having a little bit of a fearless attitude with your playing is really awesome in terms of not being afraid to hit wrong notes or anything like that. Because if we were positioning this as purely E mixolydian, which is mostly the vibe I would describe it as, you know, those notes are like completely outside of the the norm of what we would play, and yet they're the very notes that I find the most exciting. And so it's kind of like just drawing outside of the lines a little bit and putting your own stamp on things. And Trey obviously is a master of that. So thanks again, sir, for sending this one in. I think we all benefit from looking at stuff like this, and the one that Andrew sent. You're just kind of getting inside Trey's head a little bit to help us expand our vocabulary and range. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the lesson. We're going to get right back to it in just a second. But real quick, if you love fish, if you love improvising and really want to get better at guitar, you've got to check out my online course and community, Elevated Improv. It's made just for you. Just as a quick overview of what's in the course, there are over 180 videos that follow a really well-structured curriculum. We cover everything from mastering the fretboard to different ways to look at scale patterns, chords, arpeggios, modes, ear training, all of the essential stuff that you need to know. In addition to that, we have 2 live Q&A sessions every week so you can get your questions answered, maybe get a little help on a song you're working on. And the best part is you get to hang, learn, and grow with like-minded fans that are in the same boat that just want to get better and love this kind of music. In addition to all that, you also get anything fish related I've ever done. All of that's included as well. Click the link below to start your free 7-day trial and see if it's a good fit for you. I hope to see you in there. Now, back to the lesson. Next, I'm going to share a little mixolydian kind of boot camp exercise for you to check out to really help you flow more easily and maybe expand your range a little bit. But before I share the exercise, there's this really important foundational concept I have to explain a little bit. And it's this. Whatever your root note is for the scale or the chord you're working from, there are typically 3 fingerings that will really help you navigate through the area that you're working from. One of the main things that I see oftentimes that can hold people back when trying to improvise on the guitar is they're kind of limited to certain patterns or areas, and it kind of stunts their growth and their movement. In this example, I'm going to look at A mixolydian, and the way I'm going to present it to you is, focusing on this A right here on the 5th fret of the low E string as sort of the equator of what we're doing. This is our center point. The reason having 3 fingerings down for scales and chords and pretty much anything you can think of on the guitar is important is because if we have a root note, so here it is right here, we need to be able to access things that are to the left of that root, that are on top of it, like right over top of it, and things that are to the right of it. I think that, like I said earlier, people can get into one of those areas pretty well, but maybe don't connect those regions together. And I'm talking about doing the same thing in those 3 different ways. Let's get into it. So what we're going to play is A mixolydian. I'm going to show a pattern that starts with the pinky finger, the middle finger, and the index finger. And you'll see that we're not going to change what we play. It'll be the same notes and everything, but the timbre of the strings will be a little different. The fingering will be way different, and it'll inspire different approaches depending on which way you go. So here we go. Starting with the pinky finger on 5 of the low E string. So that's more in line with the area we were looking at for the Down with Disease clip. What we're going to do now is the exact same thing, but we're going to start with the middle finger. And I'm not thinking of these as like pentatonic positions or anything, just thinking of that root note and then surrounding it with these different forms. So now we're going to start with the middle and take it from there. All the notes are going to be the same though. At this point, I like to shift up to 5 of B, at least for this key, then back, and now we're going to do the same thing, but start with the index finger. There's another thing I would encourage you to try, which is to try economy picking this. And what I mean by that is anytime you change strings going down toward the floor, you do it on a downstroke. And then the opposite is true. If we're moving up toward the ceiling with a string change, we do it with an upstroke. So try like this. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Now going the other way, I kind of rotate the wrist. Up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up. So that's the first step. Just practice the single note kind of scale pattern or mode pattern in this case. And the next step that we're going to do here, there's going to be 3 steps. The second one is to now do thirds. We're going to do major thirds and minor thirds, outlining the diatonic chords starting on the 5th of the key you're in. So this is, I think, a really important thing to get the hang of, is not just being able to know the diatonic chord pattern starting on the root or the tonic of your key, but anywhere really theoretically is the end goal. So we're starting on the 5th chord in the key that we're in. If we're playing A mixolydian and A is the 5th of the key we're in, that means we're in the key of D major. So we're really practicing D major starting on the 5th note and the chords of D major starting on the 5th chord. And here's how we do it. Now we're going to go back to the pinky finger version of the scale, and I'm going to verbalize the chords that we're starting to build. Even though we're only playing 2 notes, these are dyads, and we need a triad for it to officially be a chord. We're going to get there in the next step, but I'm going to name them anyway, so you start to see it and hear where this is heading. So we go A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, and then A major. We're going to keep going. Here's the B minor, C sharp diminished, D, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, And then we're going to take it back and go back to the F sharp minor, E minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, A major, G, F sharp minor, E minor, D, C sharp diminished, B minor, and then back to A. Let's do the same process starting with the middle finger. And you'll notice the order of the chords is going to be the same. We'll have A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor. Now I do a shift here to the C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G. Now we're going to take it the other way and go back, F sharp minor, G minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, A major, G major, F sharp minor, E minor, D, C sharp diminished, B minor, A, and then I always throw in a little ending where it goes G, and then we resolve back to A. Now we're going to do the same thing with the index finger. We're going to go like this: A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished. Now a little shift up here for D, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, and then we're going to take it back the other way, back to F sharp minor, E minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, A, G, F sharp minor, E minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, A, G, and then we resolve back to A. Our last step here for the mixolydian exercise is to take everything and turn them into triads. So we're going to start with the pinky finger again. Now it'll become more apparent why I named the chords the way I did. We're going to start out with A major, and I also suggest that you try to alternate pick this, because what ends up happening is you're going to start one triad with a downstroke, and then the next one will start with an up, just because we're doing even picking with downs and ups with odd numbered triads. So here we go. A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, and then A major. I'm just going to take it one octave, and now we're going to go backwards. A major, G major, F sharp minor, E minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, and A major. Now we're going to move it up and start with the middle finger, starting with A major again, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, and then A major. Back the other way, A again, G, F sharp minor, E minor, D, C sharp diminished, B minor, and then A major. Now for the last step, we're going to start with the index finger, but the same family of chords. We've got A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major. Now backwards, A major, G major, F sharp minor, E minor, D major, C sharp diminished, B minor, and then A major again. That's my main point, is that there are these different iterations of the same things, and the thing that will help you flow beyond just being, open and creative and listening and hearing, all of the really important stuff that goes into being a good musician. Apart from all that stuff, in terms of just being a good guitarist and knowing your instrument well, I feel like it's important to map out the terrain like that and know those different versions of the same thing. So no matter what you come across, you will not get stumped or trip over your own fingers. I mean, occasionally things happen. It's not about being perfect or perfectionism, but it is all about being open and exploring different pathways, because these different iterations of these different triads or scale patterns inspire different things out of your playing. If you hung out with me this long, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it helped you expand what you already have going on with your playing, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.